going to talk about the Jigsaw right now, and this is a tool, once you are signed off on it, that you can use outside of class time on your own, but you do need to get signed off on this from me or Professor Walcott. This is how the Jigsaw is supposed to be put back when you're done. So cord on one side, saw right here. And so this is our Jigsaw, and I'm going to show you this before I plug it in. Here's our trigger right here, and just like the drills in the drivers, it is sensitive to pressure. So if you just pull it a little bit, that blade is only going to move a little bit. If you pull it all the way, that blade is going to go at full speed. There's a guard right here. It'll prevent sawdust from flying out sometimes. Here's a speed control. And then this right here is the guide. There's a hex key, an Allen wrench right here that's on the tool. We can take that out. There's a little nut right there that this is in right now. I can loosen that. I don't want to take it out all the way, but I can actually adjust my angle of this guide right here. Sometimes you want to put a bevel like that.
What's a bevel, Jay?
So an angle where instead of cutting at a right angle, that would be a 90-degree cut, we can actually put it at a bevel like that. And you may want to do that for your piece, or if you're attaching two pieces together in a compound angle. And once you get that set, you would want to use the little Allen wrench and tighten that up. For my purposes, I'm going to do the right angle. Just like that. I'm tightening that up. And I'm going to put this Allen wrench right back in to the tool, just like that. This tool is set and ready to use. It is a plug-in tool. I have my extension cord ready to go. If you plug the tool in like this, a lot of time it will stay. You can get in situations where if you just do this though, it'll come unplugged while you're working with it. So you can tie it in a little knot like this around your extension cord and then plug it in. Less likely to come out while you're working with it. For your extension cord, or the cords in general as well, you want to be aware of where these are hanging. So I've got my clamp set up right here. You don't want it set up and hanging right in front of you or close to your material like this where you could possibly hit it. You don't even want it hanging like this in front of you. You really want that cord behind you the whole entire time.
Probably one of the most common tool mishaps that we have, and the tool actually becomes unusable once the cord is nicked. If we had to replace the cord, it would cost more to do that than the tool is worth, so we would have to get a new one. So two things: don't do it. If you do it, please let us know because it's dangerous.
When I'm cutting with the Jigsaw, one hand is going to be right here on the trigger. The other hand is going to be right here at the top of the tool. You can do this with one arm. It takes a little bit more power and strength.
Wood is clamped down really tightly, correct? Not
Yes.
just one clamp, but two?
Two clamps are holding my material down. These are very solid. You should be able to push on this, shove on this, and the material shouldn't be moving. Because you are going to be pushing on it. Never have your fingers or hands around this. People will mistake that sometimes. They'll be holding the cutoff piece like this, and they'll forget where their fingers are. If you keep your hands on the tool, your hands are not going to be near the blade. Again, you don't need to be cramped. You don't need to be right up against it. You should be in a comfortable position. You should be loose. You should be able to move the tool freely, move your arms freely, and see where you're cutting. So this little metal piece right here, you're going to be able to see that when you're cutting. That will guide you and show you where your blade is actually going to be going. I'm ready to cut. I am wearing safety goggles. I'm going to pull the trigger and you're going to hear it at different speeds, different pressures. shoved up against the wood. This is wrong. You do not want to start this way. This is right. You want to start backed off from your material. If you start with your blade up against the material, it'll make the material jump up and kick up. So you always want to be backed off a little bit from your material like that. And just like the bandsaw, I can cut curves with this, but I can't turn too quickly. You'll start to feel that the blade will start to kind of jump a little bit. You might smell burning, see smoke, things like that. You can make curves with this, but you can't turn too fast.
How thick is the blade on this one? We had about a 1/2 inch on the bandsaw, probably about 3/8 of an inch for this blade.
Yeah, this is much thinner. It is more fragile in that sense, and there is a chance that the blade could actually break while you're using it. I'm gonna put my goggles on, and I'm gonna go start cutting. I keep my saw down until the blade stops moving. If that blade is moving, I don't want it to be up in the air. If the blade is moving, the saw really needs to be on a material. So you can see this curve that I just made freehand with this. It's a little bit rougher than the bandsaw, but you can see that's a pretty nice curve right there. Just hit that with sandpaper and that edge will be really smooth. You can cut plywood up to 3/4 inch. You can see that, like, if I line that up there, the blade doesn't have a lot of movement to be able to cut through that. So I wouldn't want to be making a long cut with this tool at all. If you need to do a cross cut and you just want to cut that 2x3 or that 2x4 or 2x2 down, you can definitely use this for a short cut like that. For this next cut, I'm actually going to back off and kind of carve or chisel the wood in a sense, and then be able to turn my tool 90 degrees. I'm in a comfortable position behind and above my tool. The cord is behind me. So through that, you can see I can make a tighter cut that way. I was actually kind of carving and shaping the wood with the saw blade. I wasn't trying to turn too quickly, and there's no burn marks on that, which is good.
So you sort of just need to make space for the blade to turn with the saw as it's going. Is that correct?
Exactly. And as I'm doing that too, you know, I talked about the guide here. I'm making sure that there's full contact between the guide and the material that I'm cutting. I'm not at an angle like this. I'm not back like that. I have full flat contact, surface to surface there. And that you'll have great control over the blade as long as your guide is up against your material. The other opportunity that you have with the Jigsaw, because it's not like a big band that you can't insert it into, you can actually insert this into holes and cut out negative space in the surface. And to do that, you need to have a drill with a bit that is wider than your saw blade there. So I have a large bit put on my drill here, a 1/2 inch bit, and I'm making sure I'm not going to drill into the table. And I'm going to squeeze a hole. Through there. So I have a large enough hole that my blade will fit into that very easily. And I clean off my surface from all that sawdust from the drill. Put my goggles on again. Make sure that my electrical cord is behind me. Insert the blade, not moving, and then I can start cutting. This is, as I do this is gonna require me to move my body position significantly. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna get in a better, safer, more comfortable position. Change the location of my electrical cord. Put it on this side of me. And then start cutting again. I'm gonna pull my saw blade back so it doesn't rub up against that edge. Stop again, change my position, insert the blade. Just like that. And so I have a nice negative space shape there. This is really the only tool that you can do something cut out of shape like that in a material this thick.